General Hospital villain Drew Cain is almost universally hated by fans of the show and the residents of Port Charles, but there are several other current characters who are far worse than him. Drew, Cameron Matheson, originally played by Billy Miller, wasn't always an antagonist. In fact, when he first came to town, he was a hero. A former Navy SEAL, he was brainwashed into believing that he was his long-lost twin brother, Jason Morgan, Steve Burton. Through the years, Drew proved himself to be a selfless person, such as when he risked his own life to rescue Lisa Lebrecht, Kathleen Gatty, because she was the only bone marrow match for Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, when she had cancer. In addition, Drew went to jail for his then-girlfriend, Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, when they were both accused of insider trading. He nearly lost his life there when he was badly beaten. However, when Drew was released from prison, his personality had changed greatly. He eventually had an affair with Willow, who was his nephew Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, wife at the time. He also became a congressman. Drew has since made enemies of so many people in Port Charles, which led to someone shooting him twice in the back. He's now fixated on framing Michael for the crime. However, although Drew is a menace, he's not nearly as terrible as these other General Hospital characters. Ava Jerome, image via ABC. Ava is one of the most ruthless General Hospital villains of all time. Her long list of crimes dates back to her debut on the show in 2013, and includes her most recent horrifying act of holding Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, hostage and drugging him, along with Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gron, and Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Monsey. At one point, Ava even thought she'd killed her ex-husband, Nicholas Cassadine, Marcus Coloma, but she cared more about covering up the crime than the fact that she took his life. However, Ava's worst crime was when she shot and killed Connie Falconeri, Kelly Sullivan, in cold blood. Although Drew has killed a few people in his lifetime, it was always in self-defense, and much of it happened when he was being mind-controlled by Helena Cassadine, Constance Towers. Ava is much more cold-blooded than Drew has ever been. Sonny Corinthos, image via ABC. For over 30 years, Sonny has been known as Port Charles mobster with a heart of gold. Even Mayor Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis, is under his spell and looks the other way when it comes to his crimes because he's also a philanthropist who's donated so much money to the city, especially the hospital. However, as a mob boss, Sonny's list of crimes is seemingly endless. Two of Sonny's worst deeds include his unapologetic murders of A.J. Quatermain, Sean Canan, and Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington. He never paid for those crimes, and doesn't have any remorse for taking their lives. Although Drew has done some terrible things, he doesn't come close to Sonny's level of immorality. Jack Brennan, image via ABC. Drew is a liar, but his deceptions are nothing compared to those of WSB agent Jack Brennan, Chris L. McKenna, who's currently lying to the woman he loves, Carly. When Carly's daughter, Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, killed Cyrus Reno, Jeff Kober, in self-defense, she called Jack for help. He covered up the murder, but, in return, he recruited Jocelyn into the WSB, without telling Carly. Ever since then, Jack has been lying to Carly's face every day about her daughter. It's unforgivable that he's putting Jocelyn in such life-threatening danger and taking advantage of her and Carly's trust. Although Drew is also a master manipulator, he's much more upfront about his misdeeds. Jack is a coward who used a young woman to do his bidding, and who's lying to her mother about it. Jen Sidwell. Sidwell, Carlo Rota, is the latest in a long line of villains to terrorize Port Charles, and is also an enemy of Drew. He's held Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, and Isaiah Gannon, saw Andy Wilson, hostage, kidnapped Sasha Corbin, Sophia Matson, poisoned Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, and put her in a coma, and killed Judge Eva Heron, Tessa Aubergenoy, among his many crimes. In addition, he firebombed Charlie's pub and nearly killed Christina. It was also implied that he was involved with the firebombing of Sonny's penthouse, which resulted in Michael's burns. While Drew is certainly a threat to Port Charles, Sidwell is so much worse. He's pure evil, while Drew might be redeemable. Jason Morgan. Ever since the 1995 car accident that changed his entire personality, Jason has been a complicated character. As Sonny's hitman, he became a merciless killer, nicknamed Stone Cold, but, as the years passed, he softened. To many characters, especially Carly, he's the rock in their lives, someone on whom they can depend and who they love. Jason has often been the hero, but he's also a very dangerous man. However, Drew's twin brother has more blood on his hands than most of Port Charles residents. His violent tendencies shouldn't be ignored just because he feels that he's doing the right thing. It's no wonder that Drew is so frustrated and shocked that the Quatermain family, including the late Monica Quatermain, Leslie Charlson, accepts Jason, despite his criminal past, but immediately disowned Drew when he had an affair with Willow. Britt Westbourne, image via ABC. Britt, Kelly Thibaud, recently came back to Port Charles after it was revealed that she'd faked her own death 2 years ago. The daughter of Caesar Faison, Anders Hove, and Liza Brecht, she has evil running through her veins. Nicknamed the Britch due to her snarky personality, Britt has committed many crimes over the years, but the worst was when she stole Lulu, Alexa Havings, and Dante Falconeri's, Dominic Zamprogna, embryo, and had it implanted in herself in order to trap Patrick Drake, Jason Thompson, into a relationship. Britt gave birth to the baby, who she named Ben, but who's now known as Rocco, Finn Carr. He was eventually returned to his parents. Rocco now has a fascination with Britt because, due to Lulu's coma, his parents never told him the truth about his history with her. Although Britt seemed to have redeemed herself when she sacrificed her own life saving Jocelyn from the Hook serial killer, who turned out to be Heather Weber, Ali Mills, she's now alive and well, and helping to further her father's mysterious and risky research. It's not currently known exactly what Britt is doing, but she came back to Port Charles just as Britchy as ever. While Drew's personality is just as grating as Britt's, she's obviously involved in something very dangerous, which could bring harm to all of Port Charles, and possibly even the world. Christina Corinthos Davis image via ABC. As the daughter of Alexis and Sonny, Christina is no stranger to being around people who've committed crimes. In her adulthood, she's been involved in several of her own, including her 2 most recent misdeeds. She was so overcome by her grief and anger after her accident when she fell out of Ava's hotel room window and lost the baby she was carrying for her sister, Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos, that she decided to cut the brakes in Ava's car. However, Christina cut the brakes in Rick's car by mistake, which led to him and Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, getting into a serious car accident. Though Rick began blackmailing Alexis about the crime with Ava, he eventually took all of the money for himself and put